Hi, welcome to season 3 of Everyday NLP Bites. For those of you that have not been watching or listening to earlier podcasts or videos, my name is Florence Madden. I'm an NLP trainer and coach based in Cumbria in the north of England. I'm also the author of The Intention Impact Conundrum and co-author of Everyday NLP, a book I wrote with my friend and associate, Eleni Sarantanu. This season of podcasts I've entitled In Conversation With, and I'm talking to people who have gone into NLP training for their own life purposes or work purposes, and also people who are NLP trainers in their own right and coaches. And I've been asking all of them the same question, which is, what is the concept in NLP that has meant the most to you? And probably more significantly still, what difference has that made in their life and work? So I'm really pleased to welcome today Bibian McRoy of Breakaway HR. Bibian will tell you more about her business a bit later, but I'm going to ask you those questions now, Bibian. What has been the concept in NLP that has been most significant to you? And what difference has that made? So over to you, Bibian.
Thank you, Florence. For me, absolutely, in terms of my learnings from NLP, the thing that really resonated with me the most is the concept of anchoring. And that is about eliciting purposefully a particular state that you want to feel or be in. So, obviously, we all have everyday anchors. They're everywhere around us, like these earrings or, bracelets, or it might be a song that we hear. So, there's lots of things that create states for us. But for me, it was that one step beyond, which was about appreciating and understanding that I could build, create, and call on particular states as and when I wanted them. So I have two main ones that I use quite a lot, which is coach state. So for me, in terms of coaching or helping people, I can create that state of mind. And the other one is about creativity. And so I've created an anchor around being creative, and I've used a circle of excellence for that one.
Well,
yeah.
Could you tell us more about, well, whichever one you want to start with? And
Yes.
I'm bearing in mind that maybe some people watching this, probably a lot of people watching this, who haven't heard of either of those before. So perhaps you could flesh that out a wee bit more.
Perfect. So in terms of anchoring, you might listen to a song, or if you see a rainbow, it will, and in fact, we can see a rainbow now. If you see a rainbow, it elicits that smile and that, oh my gosh, isn't that wonderful? And it's really about taking that and doing that on purpose. So you don't have to wait for a rainbow to actually conjure up and create that state of mind, that emotion that goes with that you might get when you see a rainbow. So in terms of coach, for me, coach is when I feel that I'm a little bit unsettled, and I just want to relax and really believe in myself and my abilities, and that I have all the resources within me, that whatever it is I'm about to do, I'm perfectly capable of handling that, whatever that is. Yeah. So for me, the anchor for a coach is a gesture. So I'm not going to stand up right now, but it's with my hands. So I will set myself up, whether I'm sat or whether I'm stood up, and I will place my hands like this. And because I created an anchor to go with that immediately starts to put me and then puts me in a state where I feel I'm exactly where I want to be in terms of approaching whatever it is I'm going to approach.
Yeah, I'm reminded listening to you of something that Richard Bandler said, that there's loads of things in life that can make us feel good for some reason. And he said that
Yeah.
he thought the trick was to feel good for no particular reason at all, that we could,
Yes.
as you say, just call on those states. And in this case, using a gesture that just, I suppose, just reminds you of that anchor.
Absolutely. And I have to say that is one of the things I have really taken away from NLP is that ability to, like you say, just do it because you can.
Yeah.
So you know, I must say, before NLP, there'd be quite often where I would get into self-doubt, you know, and that stays with you for days, you know, weeks, months even. And you know, yes, I still have those periods of self-doubt, but those periods are shorter and shorter and shorter, because I choose to create a positive state and break that negative pattern of behavior.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about NLP and anchoring. Just yeah, phenomenal.
There's something else that occurs to me there, and again, I don't know who's watching or listening and what they already know about NLP, and I agree with you. I think the idea of anchors, being able to bring ourselves into a really good state, is a really, really valuable skill. And I think with that, I think there was something else that you said, which is recognizing that we also have our days where we feel out of sorts, where we feel maybe out of control or not in a particularly good mood. And that's part of the human condition. And I think what's important, in particularly going into coach state, is not to be angry or annoyed with yourself for feeling in a not good state, because that can actually deepen the state.
Yeah.
So it's about just recognizing, do you know what, that's what being human is about.
Yes.
And being able to bring yourself back into a good state.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's about knowing that you have the skills and ability to do that.
Yeah.
And that in itself, I think, is quite empowering. And that's what I love about anchors. The other anchor I talked about was the one that I use more often than not in terms of when I want to be creative.
All right. Okay.
And that's one that's called the Circle of Excellence. And then that's one which we deliberately create a visualization of a circle. And you know, and I put in creating that, I put my excellence into that circle, and I take that with me wherever I go. And I can take it out of my pocket, and you know, and metaphorically place it on the floor and step into it and feel those emotions and the frame of mind I need to be in or want to be in to be at my most creative.
Yeah.
And that's what I enjoy about anchoring. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the nice thing about Circle of Excellence is that, well, there's a number of nice things about it, but one is that when you put your circle down there, you're the only person that can see it. So it's kind of a nice invisible way of getting yourself, you know, into a good state. And also for people relatively new to NLP and new to anchoring, it's actually a pretty straightforward exercise to get into.
Yeah. Absolutely, it is so straightforward, and once you've learned that skill, you just repeat it and repeat it, and things like and you can consciously do that. It's for a big birthday last year, I went to Lisbon. So in Lisbon, a very good friend of mine gifted me this lovely bracelet, and I deliberately chose to really anchor the experiences I was having over and over again into this bracelet.
Yeah.
So it really strengthened it. So when I put this on now, or if I feel, oh gosh, remember Lisbon, I might go and get the bracelet. But the power from it, and the depth and the strength of that emotion that comes with that is so much more, because of that skill of knowing how to anchor stronger. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, as you said at the outset, anchors are naturally occurring anyway, good or bad, of course.
Yes.
You know, that there are, you know, particular clothing we put on, whether it's jewelry or places that we go. People are anchors for us, perfumes, all
Yes.
sorts of things where we have made, I suppose, unconsciously an association
Yes.
with something. That's just, again, that's just part of the human state. But I guess in NLP, what's happened is that we can kind of harness that way in which the brain will link a feeling to a thing or a picture, and
Yes.
use that to our advantage.
Yeah, definitely.
And the picture, of course, behind me, this will be lost on anybody who's listening to this on audio, so apologies to you. But the picture behind me, I think, might as well be an anchor as well for both of us as well, which is Lourdes and Kefalonia, where we did the NLP Master Practitioner last year. So,
yes.
Yeah. So
Absolutely. And I have that same photo. Yes.
There for that.
Yeah.
Bibian, tell us a wee bit more about your business and your website, should people want to get in contact with you.
Okay. I started my own business in January doing HR consultancy and mediation. I love conflict resolution, and lots of people don't, so that's a good thing because then I can do that. And I like talking to people about conflict resolution and how they might approach something that's difficult. So I do a bit of coaching as well. But yeah, pretty much, I've got 23 years experience in HR, and I'm qualified to fellow level. But it's really about, the art of having the difficult conversations and or being able to coach someone in having those difficult conversations that I really, really enjoy. So my website is breakawayhr.com, fairly straightforward and simple. And you'll see those three areas on the site, which is the HR consultancy, the mediation, and the coaching.
Lovely. So thank you to Bibian, and thank you to those of you who are watching or listening to this podcast. The last in this season will be coming up next week, and that is with Karen Falconer, who's the Chief Exec of ANLP. So thank you again to Bibian. Thank you to those of you watching and or listening, and I hope you'll join us again next week. Bye for now.